Hello, everybody. Hi, Kandi.
Hello.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy. We're all here. We're ready for this. Smile, Kandi.
I'm smiling.
Okay. First of all, how are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Fantastic. Doing good. Doing good. And how's my Derek?
He's doing great, rocking his new job.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. But everybody that's going to visit tonight, and I hope it's a lot of people, you're going to have a great show. The guest tonight is very personal for me, a very special person. I don't know if she knows it or not, but she is my mentor, and I adore her. It took us forever to finally meet each other, and it was well worth the wait. I'm going to tell you that right now. So without further ado, please welcome Denise Pridemore. Yay!
Hi, everyone. So,
the
mentor or mental case? I don't know which one.
Mentor. Mentor. I got it right the first time. I am so glad you're here on the show. Because I've been on your show so many times, and I didn't have a show until, a while ago. And now on this one, it's so surreal to have it and how well everything is going, and so proud to have you here. I'm just going to keep gushing if we don't start anything else. So what, could you just give us a little background on you? I mean, you have the most interesting story that I've ever heard. So,
well, let's go with, I have so many stories that it's hard to pick out just one, but I've been having paranormal experiences since I was 4 years old. And I know that's hard to believe that it's over 50 years worth of experiences at this time. So I've got stories that could make your skin crawl, makes you think. Discovered long after my first two paranormal experiences that my grandfather was a serial killer. Had no clue. Lived in the house with him. So that's one of the weird stories that's hard for people to really grasp. How do you didn't know? You just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not an unusual story on that, to be honest. They keep it hidden very well. But yeah, my first paranormal experience was an out-of-body experience at age 4 that I remember comprehensively. A lot of the other things that happened, they probably came and went, forgot all about them because they were just normal to me. But the first one at 4 was, I lived in Paterson, New Jersey, and my grandparents lived in Baltimore City. And so this was back in the 70s. So you guys got to keep this in mind. We didn't get phone calls during the day, long distance. You just didn't. It was too expensive. Yeah, you had to call at night, and usually after 9 or 10 o'clock at night to make it worth the while. Well, that day I had told my parents that Grandpa twisted Grandma's neck in the car, basically. And around 9, 10 o'clock that night, my grandfather calls and tells my dad his mom's dead, and that she had died with 2 broken arms and 2 broken legs, and he assumed a broken neck. And my parents told me I didn't know what I was talking about because I was 4,
Right.
So later on, years later, when I'm 10, he killed my father. So I was across town, same town, but I was just across town in Baltimore there. And I got up, told my mom that my dad died and exactly how he died. And the person who witnessed my father's death, his girlfriend, by the way, my parents were not together. She she validated everything I said, including what his last words were. And at that point, my mom told me, you can't tell people that you saw this. You can't tell anybody. And so it is what it was, I was having out of body experiences, and that's all we could tell, I could tell. But I will tell you, the strangest thing that happened, though, was when we went to Virginia for my dad's funeral, I didn't believe my father was dead, because what I saw was him there, not laying in the casket. His physical body was in that casket. Everybody's seeing this. We got pictures and everything of him in the casket. I know, strange again, but he's there. I'm seeing him walking around talking to everybody. Nobody's talking to him, but they're all, he's there walking around. I felt like for years that he faked his death to get away, so that he didn't have to pay mom child support and all this stuff, right. That he was lying to us, because he looked as solid as you and me when I was there. It's a very strange thing when you realize not only was I having out of body experiences, but I was seeing dead people. And that was when it really, really hit home that that's what I was seeing, that I wasn't just seeing another person walking around.
Right.
So you can only imagine what a 10-year-old is thinking at this point in time. Am I weird? Am I the weird kid? Yep.
Right.
And I was the weird kid because I was on, after my dad was murdered, we were on the news a lot. We had television cameras followed us around every time my grandfather went to court. I was the weird kid getting all the attention at the school,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the last thing I needed. My mom is, 25 years old, has, 3 small children. You figured 25-year-old woman, she had to be pretty darn decent looking anyway.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of have to assume. I mean, it was the 70s. She wasn't overweight, but she was young. My dad was only 29. We had parents that would say nasty things about us because of the fact that we didn't have a dad. And so I was the weird kid, and all for things that weren't my fault. But we went to Gettysburg for trips. We went to everywhere. When I was growing up, being in Baltimore, New Jersey, best field trips ever. Washington, D.C., Gettysburg, Philadelphia. Well, that wasn't the best, but I got to have paranormal experiences in Gettysburg before people were talking about it being haunted.
Right.
At least not publicly. That's the thing. People did not talk about this stuff publicly until the 90s, the late 90s at that. So, but, it's part of, So fast forward a bunch of years later, Ron and I bought a house in Kansas City. And hard to believe, we never talked about this. I told him stuff like, I saw my dad be killed. And he's like, oh, okay. He didn't really, he never really grasped what I was saying. So we bought a house in Kansas City, Missouri. And I told him that there was a kid that was in our house all the time. He would come in, say, Mom, I'd say what, he'd go away. Not a big deal, right? But he didn't know what I meant. He thought maybe I was dreaming or whatever. Don't know. Well, years and years go by, and our kids start seeing this kid. They say stuff, and of course, I never said anything to the kids about it because it's just, I didn't talk about it, and I just lived it. And so they told him, and we didn't know why we were seeing it.
Well, the kids weren't old enough to learn how to lie yet.
Yeah, they weren't old enough to lie yet. And we go to a car dealership in Overland Park to buy a car. Put down the address on the application to buy the car. The guy looks at us and goes, you guys live in the suicide house. And I'm like, what? And I look over at Ron. I mean, he was actually on that side of me at the time. And I look over at him and see, told you. That's all I said. And the guy goes on to tell us part of the story. And then I described the kid that I was seeing in my house. Found out it was my neighbor's best friend's son who had committed suicide in our house. Our next door neighbor still lived next door, you know. Knew us 11 years, never said a word. So in the neighborhood we lived in, the house directly across the street, his son had committed suicide. Down the road, another kid had committed suicide. And then after we moved out, a neighbor that lived 2 doors down committed suicide. So there's something wrong in that neighborhood. But after the guy told me that about the kid that committed suicide, we had been trying to work on selling our house. And our house was painted these horrible colors. Harvest gold, avocado.
Oh my gosh.
Apricot. So it was painted in the 80s. It was horrible. And so I went to paint. And I had these little bitty pellet holes all in the wall. Didn't know why. So I spackled them over. And 3 months later, they'd be sunk back in and I'd have to respackle and repaint. This went on for years. So after he had told us about that, the next time I saw the boy, I just told him, I said, go to the people who love you. I said, your mom's not here anymore. Go there. And after I told him that, I spackled over those, painted over them, and never did it again. And we moved like 3 years later. So it was a good amount of time to do that. But yeah, that was how we ended up dealing with that one. It was just a weird situation. But you figure that it still wasn't common knowledge to people about ghosts. People didn't talk about ghosts. They didn't talk, you know, if you said the word witch, everybody would go, you know, and look at you weird. No, I'm not a witch, but, you know, I have a lot of friends that are Wiccan or consider themselves witches. When back then, you know, when everybody said Stevie Nicks was a witch, how did they react? They reacted very negatively. Nowadays, they don't, you know. But back then, it was totally different. I don't know. I mean, we joked about Bigfoot a lot, but I never, ever joked about aliens. Never. Only when that's related to Bigfoot, I joke about aliens. So, but, you know, it's just different things. Then years go by, and one day we decide we're going to go on a ghost tour. And we went, our first ghost tour was Troy Taylor's walking tour of Alton, Illinois. And it was great. You know, we had fun time. Got to see some new stuff that we'd never seen before, and just amazing stories. I don't know how many of them were really true back then. You know, the few times I've gone back over some of that area, you know, it's a lot different, you know, because you couldn't get into any of the places on the tour. They just talked. And so we did that. And a couple weeks later, we went back and said, we got to find this McPike Mansion, you know, because we had watched a bunch of ghost shows, ghost stories. We watched that. We had a 6-set cassette tape, videotape set of ghost stories. And we had seen McPike Mansion on there. And I asked Ron, I said, where is that? Where's McPike Mansion? He goes, well, it says it's in Alton. He goes, I don't know. He goes, all I ever did was when I went to Alton is you could drink at 18. You know, you could go to so you just went across the river from where he lived. And so you could go to Illinois to drink at 18 back then. So all he knew about was certain parts of that. And then he worked for a company called No Go, and they put in shoplifting detection devices. So he was at that mall in Alton quite frequently, or video store, wherever it was he was going at that time. Oh, nudie bar. They put shoplifting detection devices on the dancers.
The
And so So he would go there. Little did he know he was right down the street from McPike Mansion when he
Oh
was
my
at that home. And so we went by there one day, and lo and behold, we found it finally. We had driven through town, I don't know how many times, just looking for this place. And we found it. And by the way, they did not have GPS on cell phones at that time. I had a BlackBerry phone that I was lucky that it had a solid keyboard. I was happy as pie. But we show up there, and there's this giant truck in the driveway at McPike, and it says Ghost Lab.
Ah.
Oh, okay. I get out of the car, not knowing that they had rented the place, okay? Just that it was there. I'd never been there. Ghost Lab had never aired yet, so nobody knew about it.
Right.
And so I get out of the car, and here comes Brad. You know, he was just being him, loud and obnoxious and rude as hell. And I get out, and I'm talking to him, and I said, I'm just wondering if this is McPike Mansion, you know, because we hadn't gone past the sign yet. We just pulled into the driveway, and he goes, yeah, it is. And I said, well, I've never been here. I've just been trying to find it. I said, we'll come back some other time. And then he invites us to come. He, invites us to walk around. And I said, no, you rented the place. I said, we'll go. I said, we'll come back now that we know where it is. That's all it was. So I met Brad Kling before he was famous. But yeah, I guess he's famous. I don't know. But the next time I talked to him, he was much nicer, but I've never talked to him. I've never been able to interview him since, I haven't been able to actually, I just kind of talked to him once about booking him, and that's been about it. But he's much nicer now. But it was weird. And so we went back, and we did a cellar session that Labor Day weekend, and we met Sandy and Sharon, and we had not met Coyote Chris yet. That was a month later that we met him. But we went on this tour. We took Leah and me and Ron, and we had a great time. Funny thing is we had eaten at this haunted restaurant beforehand in Alton. Is a Cajun restaurant, my favorite. So we go, and I had a wallet that was a clamshell, that you have to twist it to open. And I took out my card, and I couldn't find my card. It was in the bottom of my purse, and he got mad at me, and he goes, "You're always just throwing that damn thing around." And I'm like, whatever. Pretty much. And so, I pay for our dinner and all that. And so I open up the clamshell, and I put it in there, and I make sure he sees me, shut it, and I put it back in my purse. We go to McPike, and somehow, some way, while we're there, the kids, the spirit children, apparently got into my purse and got stuff out, because we found that card at the very bottom of my purse underneath everything, where I couldn't find it when we went to McDonald's afterwards. And the only thing I had in my purse, I had candy in there, green tea candy. So it was not very good candy for a kid, but apparently,
or an adult.
What?
Or an adult.
Well, they're green tea mints. I like green tea. So it was one of those funny things. And my daughter actually had an experience there as well, where the spirit of Mary had come up behind her and made her feel like she was having a heart attack, and she was only 11 years old.
Oh my goodness.
So we had to tell Mary to step away, and we had a great time, because it was only us and, well, some friends, people I'm still friends with, were there. We've only, it wasn't a big deal at the time, but it's great when I look back and go, yeah, we've been friends since that day. Nice and quiet. And we were invited back we weren't invited. We were told about the camp out that was there in October that was for adults only. So we went back in October to camp out, and we became volunteers right after that. So we've been volunteering there since 2010.
Oh, wow.
And it has changed so much, you know, over the years, looking at all the work that's been done and everything. And one of my regrets is that we didn't make it back for Sharon and George's 50th anniversary. I had a health issue and couldn't go. And it made me feel bad that I couldn't go because they had invited us on my 50th birthday to go because we were the only people who showed up for one of the campouts. Me and Ron and some other volunteers. It was us. And it was the summer campout. And, you know, that was one. If you've ever been to Alton in the summertime, have bug spray.
Mm-hmm.
It floods so much that
Mosquito heaven.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
Big enough
almost
to
as bad as
stay
the ones
away.
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So, and every time we're there, it's flooded. Almost every time something's flooded there. But that was when we met Coyote Chris, was October 2009. And been was close to him for a long time. Even when he got mad at me, he was still nice to me. and I did irritate him sometimes. So it was okay.
I met him probably 4 years before we lost him. Yeah, sorely missed, that's for sure. Great man.
I know I definitely miss him. And it's not the same going there. We've lost multiple people that were volunteers at McPike, and all of them were major losses. You know, Jerome Minks, who was their, he did everything for Sharon. If she needed electrical work done, cameras, whatever it was, he was always there working on stuff for her. Tiffany, she was one of the volunteers like we were, but she would sometimes do walk around tours with people.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris, you know, it wasn't the person I expected to hear had passed from there.
Me either.
There were other people that I knew that were in much worse shape that I expected. Jerome was sudden. I mean, all of them were sudden losses. I mean, none of them were long, drawn-out illnesses that we knew much about. You know, just all of a sudden, boom, gone. Do I think that they're haunting McPike? I think Jerome is. I think he's there, especially when we're all there and we're cussing at him. I know he's just laughing and having a great time. You know, we had to number the pieces of the tent just so that we could put it together again because he was always there telling us how to do it. And so, yeah, I don't know. And he keeps messing with people's car seats. He keeps putting them back all the way. They weren't that way when they went in, but when they come out, they're laid back. I guess he's taking a nap. I don't know. So after we got to McPike, we started doing other tours in other places. We ended up in Atchison. We did that tour, and we went to the Sally House the first time, and I was very disappointed about how nothing was exactly like it was on the shows. Nothing looks like this. It doesn't look like that. Why? And of course, all I had were these little signs on the walls going, you know, a paranormal team said that this person's haunting this room. And it's like, can you prove it?
Yeah.
Here's a sign at the top of the stairs. There's a rope across the stairs, says, you know, saying off limits, but a woman fell to her death down these stairs. I was like, can you prove it? You know, so that's me. I'm walking around going, can you prove it? Can you prove it? And so I was so irritated that the tour guides were only just standing there, making sure you didn't go down the stairs, making sure you went, you know, that you didn't touch anything.
Oh my gosh.
And so,
where's the fun
but we had a good time with some people that we met. In fact, we met a really good friend of ours that's from Baltimore. I heard him talk, and I looked at Ron and I go, "He's from Baltimore." And he goes, "How do you know?" And I walked over to him. I go, "You're from Baltimore?" And he goes, "Yeah, Glen Burnie." I was like, "Okay, I know where you're from." And we became fast friends, and we've been friends ever since. But after that, we went back the following week. We took our dowsing rods and all of our equipment, and we enjoyed helping everybody. Okay. So we were helping people have paranormal experiences, dowsing rods or, sharing whatever it is we had, whatever we knew. And we did all that, and we had a great time. People followed us around the little dinky house, and we had way too much fun. On the way home in the car, I told Ron, I go, got to find a way to get in there for free. I can't keep paying for this. So I came home and went to work on that following Monday and found out about our volunteer program, that they would match my time with dollars and would pay them to let me be in there. Okay. So Ron's company would do the same. As long as we worked 40 hours, they would get $1,100 every 6 months. So this was to their benefit, because there were, the Atchison Chamber of Commerce was a 501(c). So I volunteered, and we did that for 7 years, and it got up to, we were working 700-800 hours a year on volunteering. Some of the stuff that I was doing was website management, helping book stuff, going to events to promote the Atchison Chamber of Commerce. A lot of the stuff was, they would put me on a trolley and have me do the tour around town. They would have me do a walking tour around town, or the graveyard tour, or whatever. So Ron would go, they would just let Ron, put Ron wherever. But if they wanted somebody to lead something, they would send me and go, Denise will do it. We ended up doing that for years. And we also did the haunted hop, which was one of those fun things that we got to do. We would have dinner at a haunted restaurant, and we would go on the trolley tour, and then we would stop at 2 places to investigate. And one was always the Sally House, and another would be whatever they had available at the time for us to go do. And I can't tell you how many people I met and how much we enjoyed meeting all these people and talking to them and finding out about their paranormal experiences. It was great. So I miss that part. I don't miss the 90-mile drive.
Right.
So, and then I would take up my stuff. This is all Sally House stuff.
Oh, wow.
And there's more. And I mean, different pictures and history and all this other stuff. But I got to be on Ghost Adventures, which was fun. And from that, now it just wants to fall. From that, we learned a lot from that experience as well. Ron was in that episode as well. He was in the very beginning in the graveyard along with our daughter. They were extras in one of the scenes, and they had a really fun time doing that. And like I said, so did I. I spent an hour with the 4 of them. And I told everybody, I said, I was in the master bedroom with all 4 of them. And, I can handle all 4 of them. But they had a paranormal experience that people didn't see on camera.
Hello,
it's
Penny.
the stuff that didn't make air was just as good as the stuff that did. It was just a lot of fun. And when it came right down to it, I don't regret it. I just regret that they put my last name on there because of all the photos that I got afterwards, that I had to be very careful about when I opened my Facebook. I used to have to tell some people, is that your thumb? Just to make them think. So, yeah, I got more nude pictures than I ever thought I would. And it wasn't just from guys.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so yeah, get on TV, you'll get all kinds of attention. And
No thanks.
So that part, like I said, I wish I hadn't put my last name on there. I wish I had asked them to leave it off.
Right.
Because I mean, there are a lot of Denise Pridemores, which I know is hard to believe. But
there's only one that I know of.
There's only one.
I know you probably don't know any other Pridemores besides my family.
There's no other ones that exist, as far as I'm concerned.
No.
So
here's a funny story. When we lived in Kansas City, Missouri, there was another lady. Her name was Lula B. Pridemore. Same name as me, except for her middle initial was B, and it was Beatrice instead of Denise. We went to the same doctors. We used the same bank. We used everything that was the same, other than the fact that she was in her 70s. So when Larry Pridemore died, there was an obituary, and a bunch of people at Sprint saw it. And they sent me messages going, "We're so sorry to hear that your husband died." And I'm like, what do you think I did? I married a guy with 1 foot on a banana peel and 1 foot in the grave? How old do you think I am? So, but yeah, I had to, when I went to the hospital a few times, they would read off her birthday, and they would go 11/14/39. And I'm like, and I'm here for a pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they would go, "Oh crap, that isn't you."
oh my goodness.
So yeah, there was only just one other Pridemore family, and she just happened to have the same first name as me. And so my first name is rare, but my middle name not so much. So, but it is what it is. Cornbread, yep, cornbread.
Cornbread.
So like I said, we did that for 7 years. We did McPike. And that same year that we discovered all these other places, we went to one of your favorite places. We went to the Velisca Axe Murder House. And we were driving up. We drove up 20, there was a flood. So we had to take the back way, had to take 71. And we went through Clarinda. And all of a sudden it hits me that we're in Iowa. I knew I was going to Iowa, but I looked over at Ron and I go, I wonder where that Velisca Axe Murder House. I said, I wonder where Velisca, Iowa is. He goes, well, it has to be up north. He goes, because if it was anywhere close to Red Oak, he goes, the family would have said something, about this. We didn't know that was related to the family at all. We had no clue. So we go to the family reunion, or we go to turn there at Clarinda, and it says Velisca, 9 miles. So I just bring it up randomly, and here it is, 9 miles. So we look at each other, and we have Lauren and Leah with us, our youngest 2 kids, and we go down and we drive by there, and I take a picture. And with this picture, it's a really neat looking picture. Looks like what everybody calls a vortex. Okay. It's not. It's not. But I have my little BlackBerry phone and, of course, really slow shutter speed, and take the picture, and this thing going right through the middle of it across the sign that says Velisca Axe Murder House. It's a lightning bug. So if you guys go out to the Pridemore Paranormal Facebook page, you'll see it. It's a lightning bug, but it looks really neat. Okay. Kind of creepy looking. And so I show it around at the family reunion and go, look where we're going on our way home. I was so excited. We were going to go to the house and everything. And I had, already made the decision we were going, and Ron was on board, and so were the kids. Ron's mom pulls us aside and she goes, I got to tell you guys something. Grandma Jackson, this was her brother. The Jackson who, and every time they say Grandma Jackson who married a Jackson, every time you got to say it. And so they tell us this and says, that was her brother. So that was your great uncle, Ron. So Orrin Jackson is a direct family member of our family. And he was the sheriff during the investigation of the murders there at the house. And so we go back the next day. We're going home on Sunday, and I call Darwin and I get us a tour. And he had us just come to the house. He didn't have us. We went to the museum because that's where it said to go. But he told us just to come to the house. So we go to the house and he gives us our tour, and we have a great time. We tell him the story from the family reunion, and he goes, stay here. And, you're just met Johnny. I love you too, Brandon. And Ron is all right, I guess. So he goes down to the museum and he brings back a picture of Orrin Jackson during the trials. And I have a picture of Leah holding that because he wanted to take a picture of Leah holding that. And I agreed. But I have a picture of it as well. And we hit it off. And I tell you, he is one of the people that I loved his attitude. He was so gung-ho on everything. He was such a positive man. And when he gave you the tour of the house, he took his time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I say he took his time. He came in there and he even would show you. He had the axe. Okay, he had the original axe, and he's going, see, look, this is where it hit the ceiling. I was like, okay. But it was only us. It was only me and Ron and Lauren and Leah. And, Johnny came over, and we met him at that time. But, I remember all of this because it was so memorable, and he just made me smile so much. And, so we go downstairs, and we're looking around. Lauren's upstairs, and the attic door, would it open or close for her? She was upstairs, and the attic door moved. It opened for her, and
which we've seen before.
Yeah, and she comes running downstairs to tell us about it. And so here we are. Later on, we're watching this on TV. We were watching Ghost Adventures. And I had gotten in that closet. Got in the closet and I looked up. I saw these big holes in the ceiling. There was holes in the roof and stuff back then. And, in Ghost Adventures, the door opens. It's like the wind blew. That's when I started calling out all the shows when I'm going, I've been there. I know what's wrong. It's not a ghost. It's the damn wind. Pay attention, people. I'm watching this stuff. And getting upset. So that's when I started the Denise yelling at the TV like it's football. Ghost shows. Ow.
I can see you doing that.
Oh yeah, I get. Don't even plan on ever watching Paranormal Caught on Camera. I'm with Ozzy. It's ball lightning. I'll just go with that. That is better than some of the explanations I've seen. There's way too much stuff on there that makes me, like we were talking on the other day. People aren't skeptical enough, period. You need to be skeptical in the paranormal. Mm-hmm. And you also need to not be gullible. So I'm basically saying the same thing on both. Don't believe everything that you see because a lot of it can be faked. And I've cleaned up stuff that was faked at the Sally house many times that people, I would have people contact me. Yep. Yeah. I would have people contact me and say, I saw the live feed last night. Can you believe all that stuff that happened? No. Oh, thank you, April. And, yep. And, so we're watching people are watching these live feeds and they're coming to me and saying, this happened last night at the Sally house. And I'm like, well, you weren't here when I had to vacuum up the mess or, take down the wires that somebody put up, or get the helium tank out of the house before the people get here. You're not here for that. Or, there was one time I had to I had to cut off a whole bunch of fishing line off of some of the toys in the nursery.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tell you guys who did that, but again, it can happen. Just be skeptical of everything you see. Unless you witness it personally, in person, question it. I'm not saying everybody lies, but everything's not paranormal. Some things are just people are people.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I could make that very much more colorful, but I'm not going to. Oh, yes, it is a demon. Always. It's always a demon.
Yes.
So, and that's another thing. It's not always a demon. Demons are rare, regardless of what we're seeing on TV. And let's think about this. If somebody's always got a demon with them, it's always a demon everywhere they go, and nobody else has ever witnessed that in a location, such as McPike Mansion. They said there was a demon there. There's not a demon there. There's not a demon at the Pythian Castle in Springfield. There's a irritated spirit there that likes to scratch the living crap out of people, which I was the first that they got. So demons are just, they're not as common as people want to believe they are.
No.
And if somebody's yelling demon all the time, wonder what kind of deal they made to have a demon under their control. And I call that zacking anyway.
True. That's an excellent term.
Yes, the producer did say there was a demon. So, and then there's also times that I've seen stuff that they've put on TV that should have made the news. Should have been huge news everywhere.
Right.
And you never see it again.
Yep.
And why is that? It is because it's quite possible that the team that was there doing the train, doing all this stuff, wasn't privy to what the production crew was doing. And I'm going to bring up a show, and I don't mean this in any negative way, but Ghosts of Morgan City in Captain Caviar's house, when this spirit walked by, it looked like a hologram. And I called it. I mean, we were watching it live at the time. And I said right away, I told Ron, I said, that's not how spirits, that's a hologram. And I don't think that the people in the show knew that it was not real. I don't think that they knew it was a hologram. I think the production crew did something there, because I really do think that I like Ben Hansen and I love Sarah Lemos. I got pictures with her, so I love her. She's really nice. I've never met Jeremy Leonard at this point, but I was going to, and I don't feel like that they would I don't think that they would be privy to that. It's just my gut.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, that's the reason why we as a community need to be skeptical. We don't have to call out everything as being faked, because it's not all faked. It's just we need to witness it more. But we still have to go, that scratching in the wall is a squirrel or a mouse, or there's a beehive in the wall, and we have one. So, no, I know. So it's just, be skeptical of a lot of things. I mean, I'm not just in the paranormal, just in general. Be skeptical and don't be gullible. You want to believe everybody. Yes, ball lightning. I don't want everybody to be gullible and be taken in. And there are some teams out there that will do that to you. I've seen it.
Yep, me too.
Yep. Honesty is important in this. Integrity is huge. And I tell people that all the time. My whole job is is integrity. If I don't have integrity, my job is worth nothing. So,
Right.
But
Hi,
I don't know.
Amy.
Do you guys want to talk at all?
You know, that's like when we had Alan on last week. He's a great conversationalist, and everything kept going. And I don't know how many times I was on your show, and then on shows with you, and I know how you'll keep everything going and keep it interesting. I mean, I've heard this stuff before, but I'm still sitting here going, yeah, keep going.
Well, I try to make it interesting, but I just don't know, what to say. Let's see. I did write a short story for a book. I think I got it down here somewhere. I've been packing stuff up, so finding stuff is fun. Encounters with the Paranormal, Volume 4.
I have that.
And you've seen my... So this guy was in my bedroom.
Oh, hey.
Right up there. So...
And it was just... Don't show that to Zach.
Oh, there's a long story involved with that thing, and but it's not here anymore. So it went away. It was an really interesting story. And then I also wrote an article for the very first issue of Enhanced magazine. I know that some of you people will recognize that building there, the McIntyre Villa.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a story about the Sally House, some historical fact for it, and it ended up being the history of the Sally House. And this is my picture here.
Mm-hmm.
See down there in the corner?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That picture was taken by Ron, our second time at the house.
Wow.
And we had to go back in and make sure nobody was locked in there because we thought that there was really somebody there. The thing is for the longest time, I thought it was a toy that was in there. And I've got a picture of who is it?
April has
Dr. Finney.
for you.
I had a picture of Dr. Finney and I put it up against it, next to it. And I've had people say, that little guy
Mm-hmm.
over there, the old guy, that it
Yep.
looks like him, that it's the shape of his head and everything else. So, and that picture was given to me by a neighbor who used to know the Finney family when they lived there. So
April has a question for you.
So she always has a question. She knows I love her.
Since you have medium abilities, if you use those skills, does it cancel out some skepticism or questioning? Good question.
Sometimes I can see stuff on TV. I'll be watching TV and I can see some stuff in TV that I've told Ron before that, they're saying that they're talking to a woman, but I see a man or a kid or something, or I see something different than what they are thinking that they're talking with. So sometimes it changes the perception of what we're seeing based on what I'm seeing. And sometimes it does validate what people are telling us.
Right.
It's the parts that are showing stuff being moved and it's being pulled off camera.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't see Ron over here in his underwear, shaking it for me because he's off camera. He's not. See,
Ron, you good?
I'm back on real quick.
but you know what I mean. What I can't see off camera is sometimes a problem. So April, yes and no. It just kind of depends on what it is. But yeah, if I see something different, I'll say it. And if I see the same, I will. Yes, Ron's twerking again. You're just lucky he's not close to me right now. And be happy that we're not at McPike, because a lot of people remember I did that at McPike. I was cleaning out trash one night, and they had a DJ, and I just got a little bit too wound up in it, and everybody had to tell Ron about it because he wasn't there to see it. You should have saw your wife. Like, some of my best memories are at McPike Mansion. No dollar bills on Phoenix.
Oh,
So
that's good.
But thank you, April, for the question.
Kandi,
Yeah,
I know you have your ever famous question that you got in the
go
wings.
for it. You
No,
got it.
no.
I
go
already
ahead.
asked her once.
So does she want to know what my favorite equipment is?
Close. Location.
Close. Your
Location?
favorite location. Yeah.
I don't think I have one. I think right now I just want to find all these new locations that I haven't had a chance to go to. I want to go someplace. Okay, that's where I'm at. I want to go someplace, and I'm hoping that my new house isn't haunted for my son-in-law's sake, because he doesn't like ghosts.
Too bad.
But yeah, too bad. But it's going to be someplace. My favorite place is going to be someplace in Pensacola. I'm going to guarantee it.
There you go.
I don't doubt that at all.
Well, I've been interviewing people that live down there on my shows and asking them to give me tours of the town and telling me places I need to go. And I've got a whole list of places.
Good.
Apparently, Pensacola has a really dark history from it way back in the 70s and stuff. And, it's one of the oldest cities in the United States, founded in 15 something.
Mm-hmm.
So by the Spaniards. So it's going to be neat to figure that out. I'm going to a new location in Missouri on the 19th of this month that recently just opened, and hardly anybody's investigated it yet. So I can't wait to tell you guys about that after we do it.
Oh, heck yes. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's down near Springfield. So weather permitting, so we're praying for no snow after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, like I said, if I could tell you where it was, I would tell you. But the person who's giving us this gift has not told me I can share.
Getcha.
Is there a place that I consider the scariest? So far, the scariest place for me is Ashmore Estates. That place is trying to kill me.
Oh my gosh.
Every time I go there, something happens. I get sick. That's where all my health issues. We can't even get there. There's something that keeps us from going every single time now. The last time we were supposed to go, I had heart issue and couldn't go. I was so sick that there was nothing I could do to change it. I ended up in the hospital one time we were supposed to go with a collapsed lung. And our friends won the daytime tour. We made it for that. It was a daytime investigation that we got to go do. And I basically sat outside the bulk of the time because I could not breathe inside because, I had to wear a mask. Mm-hmm. So.
Right. Wow.
Okay. What did she say? I got up last night, closed the fridge, and heard a muffled male voice say something. Hopefully it didn't say Denise. April. So, but yeah, I can't wait to find all these new places. So at least new to me. The town that we're moving to supposedly has a haunted theater that they've done some events in, but they charge too much for people to get in there. It's like $1,500 to rent this theater that's used as a church. And it's like, nah.
No.
Nope. That's a house payment.
Yeah, exactly.
or apartment rent. I don't know, but it is what it is. But I can't find anything else, and we'll figure it out. So,
Do you see every time that you go out and you do an investigation, is it still just as fun as when you first started?
yes,
Or more so?
As time's gone on, it's more exciting because even if nothing happens, it's still exciting. And I'd have to say the reason that it's exciting is, first off, I'm visiting with people. I'm getting to visit with people and talk to them, and we get to share in each other's paranormal experiences at that time.
Right.
I don't know how many times somebody will say, we went here and we were with Denise and Ron and we had this experience, and like the people that we interviewed on Tuesday night, that's some of their best paranormal experiences were with us, and I had no clue.
No.
And this was, we don't even spend that much time with one of them, and his most profound paranormal experience was with us at the Missouri State Pen. It's weird. And as I get more free with saying what I want to say, that makes a difference too, because for the longest time, I just kept it to myself. Because I was just used to not sharing. So that has helped. And yes and no, April. So has my gift gotten better with time? It was great when I was younger, repressed for a while, and now it's getting better again. And I don't consider myself a medium. Consider myself a pain in somebody's rear most of the time. But other than that, I don't ever really consider myself a medium. I think I have some mediumship abilities, but if I was anybody, I wouldn't pay me for a reading. Because I'm afraid to be wrong. And and it's because I'm a Gemini. I'm a Gemini. I don't want to be wrong.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So am I. I was waiting for her to say something.
Well, I used to tell people when we were at the Sally house, people would come to me and they say, "Are you a medium?" I go, "No, I'm a large," and walk away. And I just got used to being sarcastic about it. It's just the way that it is. So,
psychic medium at large.
Yeah, I was like, and the thing is, I do have to say there is one thing that I've always told people: I am psychic, and I know this because of my job. I don't think I use it for anything other than my job, to be honest. I know when they want something before they tell me that they want it. And I usually have it ready within 45 minutes of when they're going to ask for it, which is really bad because of the fact that they always expect it that fast. But I always know when they want something before they ask for it. And it's weird. And I'll write it down in my little, I got my little book. I'll write it down that I'm working on something, and I guarantee within 45 minutes of me finishing it, I'm getting an email saying, "Hey, can you send me this?" And so I always, for work, I know before they ever ask for anything. I don't think I've ever really focused on that for other things. I just don't know if I have. So, and April, only share with people you trust. So if you guys have mediumship abilities or you think you're psychic, share with people you trust before you go putting it out there, because people, again, are going to be skeptical. Mm-hmm. And you should be a little bit scared. And if you're not scared, then maybe it's something wrong with you, because we're all scared. No, none of us want, yes, I don't mind being a medium. It's just, it is what it is. The difference
Right.
between a psychic and a medium is that you can be a medium, or you can be a psychic and not be a medium. But normally, if you're a medium, you're a psychic. So the difference between a psychic and a medium is a psychic can tell you, this is what I've been told, is that a psychic can tell you your things about your future and other stuff, and not necessarily see it through the eyes of a spirit. But a medium will see all this stuff through the eyes of a spirit, or the spirits will talk to them and tell them then that. I did an interview with Vanessa Hogel. She is excellent at explaining this. And the reason I interviewed her before I was supposed to do a speech at a Paracon. And I was going to talk about the difference between a medium and or fake mediums. I was going to talk about that. So here's what she said. All mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are, and all psychics are not mediums. That's one of the things. The key factor in deciding who to see, make sure that they got a reputation. What's the reason for you to see them? So, but yeah, I was going to do a speech on finding out how to tell a fake medium. Who's in it for the money? Who's going to lie to you? Who's researching you before they come to see them? Because, you have to make an appointment. So they got time to research you. If you make an appointment, if you contact them on Facebook, guess what? Your Facebook profile is right there. It doesn't take them long to look at it. You've got to be really careful. A lot of mediums won't look at you while they're reading you because they don't want to see your expressions, which is good because your expression gives away a lot of what's true and not true. If they're too vague, too many generalities, be careful. You're probably not getting the whole story, but check your Facebook profile before you go to see what you shared. Because it's a big deal. I've heard one say something about said something to one woman about a butterfly. Well, I went to her Facebook profile. I went to the Facebook profile and I saw that she shared a picture of her butterfly tattoo 10 years ago on Facebook.
Right.
Yeah. They went back a little ways for that. But did she get it from there? I don't know. But everything that she had said, I went and I was able to find it. And so some of the mediums, they will tell you can't videotape or you can't tape it. No, you can. You're paying for a service. It's your service. You should be able to either tape it with your phone, cassette, whatever. You should be able to do that. If you're doing it through Skype has a feature on there to where you can record. Mm-hmm. Record it. Now, if you find a medium that you think is great, make sure that you vet them before you start telling other people. And I'm great at matching a person to a medium. I can tell you, I'm a medium matchmaker. If you need somebody that needs to hear it raw and they need to hear the F word, I know who to give them to. if they need it given to them in gentle doses of molasses and sugar, I have that medium too. I know who you need, the molasses and sugar one. I thought you needed
I'm the molasses one.
You're the molasses one.
I'm the medium.
Ron's the bourbon medium.
I'm the sweet one.
Okay, so, but yeah, I mean, if you need a medium, you tell me what kind you want, and I can tell you who I think is.
I'm just saying.
Who I know is reputable, and I'll tell you why I say that. They can't read me. I can't be read.
Well, that's the truth.
That's good.
Well, they've tried. They've all tried, and they can't. I have a wall up that they can't read me, or I don't really put anything out there that's too descriptive. You know, like after my surgery, just said everything's good. My family still doesn't know what's going on. You know, so do you know any psychics I trust for telling the future? No, I do not trust
No,
any of
there
those.
is none.
There is no, you can't, because I could tell you a name and you could walk out of your bedroom door and go the other direction of what you thought you were going to go, or you make a different decision. Your future's changed from that second on. So every second I make a decision, everything's changing as I speak. You don't want to know your future. We don't want to know when we die. We don't want to know any of that.
Nope.
We want to live our fullest life every single day. But no, there's one, Andy Myers. You know, I know you know him. He's up there in Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
He did some readings on the radio way back when. And I called into one of the radio stations for that. And he told me that I was going to be getting a new job soon. Okay. This was and I did. I got a new job soon. But it made me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going, oh, good, change is coming. Was change coming because I was making the change, or because I believed him? I had already applied for the job, so I had already made the decision. So the guessing that your circumstances are gonna change is pretty easy. You know, like I said, everything changes, and just keep that in mind. I'm really bad business for the psychics. I'm sorry. I'm just really bad for it. I just don't believe that they can tell you an accurate future. I think
I don't
having
think
a
so.
mediumship reading is different because spirits will talk to you and get you some stuff that you can validate. Can spirits tell you things about the future? Yeah, they can. Do we want to know it though? Do we want to know, that somebody's waiting for us to die so they can carry us over the threshold? Do we want to know that?
I don't.
I know.
Already know.
I'll tell you, it was the strangest thing. One of the paranormal experiences that I've had that was completely and utterly profound that I have trouble talking about was Ron's dad dying. We were in the room with him at the nursing home. And at one point, Donnie is on the phone calling Ron's brother, telling him, we think the dad's going to go soon. And Roger's hemming and hawing on the phone. I don't think I can make it in time. Every excuse under the sun. And all of a sudden, I see one of the spirits that's at the head of Ron's dad's bed leave. Off he went. And I believe that he went to get Roger. I think that he went to either possess Roger to come,
Kick him in the nuts.
or kick him in the nuts, like Ron said. Kick him out of bed and make him come to the nursing home.
Right.
Don't know, but he left, and by the time we found, we got a call. Roger says he's on his way. Within 10 minutes of him coming to the hospital, the spirit was back at the head of the bed. And it was Ron's uncle that had left. And so Ron's dad was the youngest of the kids. And and what was funny is this whole time we're watching this, and I don't see Ron's dad's sisters. Okay. I don't see them. They're not there. They were fighting somewhere. We know that. But by Ron's mom is her family. So at the head of the bed, we got Ron's dad's family. Over here is Ron's mom, and her family is here with her. And she said multiple times that she felt like somebody was holding her up. And I had never seen very good pictures of her family, to be honest. They're all kind of blurry and, because they're old and stuff. But I knew some of her family members because I've been part of the family for 40 years. I should know somebody. So I see them here, you know. But when Ron's dad died, he's laying in bed, and as you know, I'm watching the clock because somebody's got to note the time of death, and they're all with him, and I see a hand come out of the ceiling is what it looked like. There was this cloud, it was very bright, and it kind of opens, and a hand comes down, and I see Harold take the hand and him go, and all the family members went with him. And most of the night, I'll tell you, I spent most of that night like this, not looking at all the stuff because I couldn't handle it.
Right.
It was just really hard for me to accept that this is the first person I ever saw die in person. It's hard when you think about everything that goes with dying. Who's coming, who's going. It was sad, because it wasn't just him. There were other people that were dying or had died in that nursing home too that were trying to get my attention. So we walked away a few times. I went down and tried to sleep on a horrible sofa, all that stuff. So do you think that dreams that come true are different than predicting the future? I don't know. I think that dreams are sometimes deja vu. Sometimes there's a signal there, and sometimes
You're okay.
to say it, but sometimes they're just wishful thinking. Dreams are unusual, but if you really want to analyze your dreams, keep a dream journal, and only use these dream books that talk about dream dictionaries and stuff. Use them as general, not 100% reference, but what does these things mean to you? If you're having a dream about an elephant, are you dreaming about the elephant because you had a pet elephant when you were a kid that was really special to you, given to you by somebody? Or did you go to the zoo and have a great experience, and you think that you're being told that you need to go to the Omaha Zoo for a visit, or that you need to get an elephant tattoo? I don't know, but you have to figure out what those symbols mean to you personally. Dream dictionaries are just, hey, these are possible generalities, and nobody's been able to actually put, even Freud can't figure out what our dreams meant. So Carl Jung is pretty good, but he still couldn't figure it out.
No.
So
Amy has a question for you. I've seen something like that in a church, but it was their spirit. I told the priest, and he was told only a few people can see that and experience it.
was
Who was that?
their spirit? Whose spirit? That
That's the question.
Amy. So
It says, I've seen something like that in the church, but it was their spirit.
yeah.
What
What was the person in the church? Was it at a funeral?
That's what I'm presuming.
So, like I said, when my dad died, I just saw him walking around the church or walking around the funeral home like he was there. I mean, alive and well, doing great. With Ron's dad, I think Ron's dad passed over immediately, where I don't think my dad did. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many things that, I don't want to die anytime soon, but I hope to be researching after I die to find out what all this stuff means. So I got to give you a test word so you'll know it's me. Here you go.
Right.
So if I come back, it's Poughkeepsie. You hear the word Poughkeepsie? It's me.
Gotcha. Yes, Amy said yes. It was during the service.
And that could be, and that's a very special gift if you're being able to see
Yeah,
somebody cross. If they're crossing over, it's something special to see.
Yeah.
As sad as it is, I just feel like that they went straight to heaven. That there was no time to waste. Let's just go and get there because I live such a good life. That's just me though. I'm hoping. I hope I'm going to hell in a handbasket, so it doesn't matter. Like I said, I have a really good attitude though.
You do. Kathy says, after I have a dream, they are symbolic, and after I feel refreshed, like I slept for a week.
And those are the dreams you really should write down. If you can remember them, write them down, because sometimes you can get yourself back into that dream later on.
This happened to me. I saw my mom lying in her coffin, and this was before we knew she was even sick.
Deja vu.
Mm-hmm.
I hope nobody gets to see that. It's hard when you see somebody you love before. Cheryl Ann, Elliot Fletcher, she saw her brother pass when she was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And she talked about that. And that's going to be in her new book that's coming out. We're going up there for a book release party in April. Oh, a dream interpreter. Well, that's interesting.
She's amazing. We're going to have her on, Rex.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Me too. Me
Sure.
too.
Look, she's
Amy
already.
Hale.
Oh,
I've got to write it down. I've got to write her name down.
Yep, she's one of our real good friends. We'll get you set up with her.
So, because I like talking to different people about different things. I think it's great. That's my favorite part of all this is all the people like Rex and Kandi and Joy that I've met. And I can't imagine my Monday nights any different anymore. I just think it's great. Okay. So that's interesting too.
That is.
So, but yeah, keep a dream journal. You'll be surprised. The guest that I had on a couple weeks ago suggested taking a notebook and tabbing it, A, B, C, D, and whatever you dreamt about that you write down. If you had a whale, that you had put it with the W's, and then you put the date that you had it, and see what happens. So
And what time you wake up from this dream is also significant, I think.
yeah, and I also think that's significant. That's a little bit harder. Is how did you feel when you woke up from the dream? Was your heart rate up? Were you scared? That's important, because I know I wake up every once in a while and my heart rate's 116, and I'm like, oh, it must have been a good one. Because my heart rate's usually about 58 to 64. And I monitor my heart rate all the time because of the heart condition. So
Right.
when I see that it's really high, it's like, well, why was it high at 3 o'clock in the morning? I wasn't out of bed. I didn't go to the bathroom. What in the hell is going on here? And I'm having to look to see. So, and Joy, with you being in the medical field, you probably think that that's a good idea to, check is your heart rate up? Did you really get to, and did you pee your pants? If you peed your pants, it was a really good dream.
There you go.
We got to note that.
Okay. My son drowned at 11 years old, and I have really bad nightmares all the time of seeing him. I am so sorry, Tom. It sounds like you have
Yeah,
PTSD.
Tom's a really good friend of mine.
Uh,
I can't imagine losing one of my children.
Yeah.
It's
My
the only
dad
thing that scares
saved
me.
Yeah, my dad saved me from drowning when he was alive. I mean, he lost his car keys, but he saved me from drowning. And after that, he didn't want me to go swimming anymore. But yep, he pulled me out of the Chesapeake Bay. I decided I wanted to drown one day. So, and I didn't, but you know.
Well, good thing.
Yeah.
So
World's a better
know.
place with you being.
I'm glad you think so. There's some people.
Where would we be for you tonight, anyway? Yeah.
Exactly. You've done more for me than I can ever tell you and thank you for. Seriously.
Like I said, I love you guys. I think that you guys make me smile all the time. Every time I hear from you, I smile, and because I know that you're reaching out, you know, from your heart and not for any other reason. And that makes me happy.
Because you're family. That's only two ways about it. So I'm going to show up on your doorstep one of these days. Go, hi, I'm here for a week.
Well, you know what? Once we
In
have,
Florida.
once we have room down there. Oh, he's ready to get out of. I think he's ready to get away from some snow and ice up there.
Oh.
Oh, jeez.
I am.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm
am.
gonna go up to the YMCA with you guys.
Oh yeah. Ron says he wants
Oh,
to go to the
absolutely.
YMCA with you.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
Don't
You
worry.
won't be disappointed.
Oh no,
Just
no,
Just because we moved doesn't mean we're not coming back. We may not come back to Kansas
we
City.
like active
But
places.
you guys are closer to the other side. You're probably closer from St. Louis than you are here.
Holy
I think.
shit.
Yeah. It's like 5 hours from here to St. Louis.
Yeah. And I think we're about 6 from here. That place is amazing, Tom says. So, like I said, I really would like to check that out sometime. And
Hey,
he said we have a.
Paranormal. Hello.
Oh,
That
what?
was Studio 6 Paranormal came on and said hello.
Hello. Howdy ho. Actually, I haven't said that in a while. It made me feel naked there for a while, not saying hidey ho.
Because you're always saying hidey ho.
Oh, I know. I've done that for pretty much the whole 8 years I've been doing the Paranormal Pride. So I'm coming up on my 8th anniversary.
That's fantastic. And it's such a great show.
You know, there are times that I don't think that it is, and then other times I think that it's great. I had, you know, you said something about Alan filling in a lot of time for you. I have somebody who does that for me a lot of the times. Frank Bennett, FJB, our FJB. Yep. And so he's starting to capitalize on his initials at this point. So when I don't feel great, I'll ask him to come on, and he will fill in all the time that I can't fill in. So, and you've met Frank, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
And he's gotten me some really interesting guests. This last week, he got me this wonderful guest, Tammy Locke, that was on a show called The Monroes way back in the 60s. So it was like before I was born. And she shared a picture with me of when she was younger. And I looked at that picture, and we look like sisters. If the picture had, you know, it was in black and white, but in black and white, we looked the same as kids. So she had amazing stories. And I had on this other guy, a guy and his manager from the band Ghostastic. She was country, and they're heavy metal. It was like interviewing Donnie and Marie. You know? And they got along so well. It was the most amazing thing. And I had told Ron, I said, I asked Frank to come on early. And he goes, why? And I said, because I have a feeling my guest isn't going to show up. They had a flat tire, and they were 45 minutes late. And they had told me that they could only do 30 minutes to start with. So I had to have a second guest to fill in the rest of the hour.
Right.
Guess who went long? The ones that said they could only do half an hour decided they didn't want to leave. They had a great time. And so check out the band Ghostastic if you're into heavy metal and alternative music. Ghostatic. GHOSTATIC. And I know you're into music, Rex, so you
A
check
little
them
bit.
out. They're all their music is paranormal related. They do most of their concerts in haunted places and investigate
That's
afterwards.
too cool.
Awesome.
So they were a lot of fun,
I
and
bet.
I really enjoyed it. But yeah, and then I got on, Tammy, who sings country music and an actress and all this other stuff. And it's like I thought I was interviewing oil and water. and I wasn't, and it turned out so good. It wasn't the greatest show ever, but it turned out a lot better than I had thought it would. But I knew my guests were going to be very late, and I don't know how I knew that, but I did. And again, maybe it's because I am psychic about work, and this was work related.
Right.
So I don't know. I had fun. And April, was it an awesome show because I was here, or because Rex and Joy and Kandi are just great hosts? Remember, I'm family.
Because you're here.
Well,
We
Rex
have-
knows.
Yes, I do. We have 2.5 minutes left. So if you could tell everybody where we can find you and all that fun stuff.
So you can find me on the Paranormal Pride every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Paranormal Pride Facebook page and YouTube pages. And it's simulcast on Japan Paranormal as well as the Bill of Rights pages. So check that out. And on Tuesday nights, I'm the co-host with Ron and Carl for Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. And just be aware that show goes off the rails all the time. It can be anywhere from paranormal to politics, even though I'm trying to keep it more paranormal and less politics. So keep that in mind. We try to keep it paranormal. And sometimes we have guests that aren't paranormal at all, but hey, they have some great stories. So check that out at 5 p.m. Central on Tuesdays on the Bill of Rights Network. And it's simulcast on Things Network, on Temple of Phoenix Rising Network, Japan Paranormal, and the Paranormal Pride the Paranormal Pride YouTube page. And pretty soon we're going to be going to, you're going to be able to find us on replay on iHeart and some other places. So check that out. I'm also on Spotify. Me personally,
Awesome.
I'm on Spotify. So, and if you think you got a good guest for one of us, any of us, let us know. We'd love to interview anybody that you got.
Absolutely. And I'm available anytime you want me on the show. So I'm just putting that out there.
I know you are. I know you are. And I'm working on some special things too. Yeah. Well, I'm working on some special things now as well. So I just can't start anything until after we get moved.
I can't wait.
Me either. I'm excited.
Well, we're almost done here, and I cannot thank you enough, Denise, for being with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, extremely informational, and a lot of fun. And you know that we love you very dearly too, and we'll have you back at any time.
You can always count on me in a pinch.
And she's pinched me once or twice. So,
talk to Josh Hurd. He'll tell you.
Exactly. Again, I want to thank everybody that joined us tonight and the great questions. We really appreciate it. We love doing this show. We love bringing you amazing guests, and we're still going to keep doing that. Correct, Kandi?
Yep, got some real good ones coming up too.
I thought she was froze up for there a second.
So Kandi, do this every once in a while so they can see you're not frozen.
As always, I'm going to end tonight's program. Peace, everybody. Be safe, and we do love you.